Hi everyone, welcome to, thank you for joining us today. I'm Jess. I'm coming to you live from Mountain View, California. Before we begin, I would like to give a warm welcome to our partners joining us from Maricopa, Arizona, Naples, Florida, Eagle, Idaho, Oaklawn, Illinois, Rockville, Maryland, Westchester, Pennsylvania, Bellevue, Washington, Riverside, California, Colorado Springs, Colorado, Thornton, Colorado. Thank you everyone for joining us. We have two great lessons for you today. First up, Stasia will walk us through on how to get found on Google Search and Maps, followed by Marvin, who will teach us how to build a free website using Start Logic. Throughout the presentation, Stasia and Marvin will be covering quite a bit of material. So instead of trying to build your content as you follow along, we recommend that you take notes, write down any questions you have along the way, and at the end of the presentation, pass your questions up to your workshop host, and we'll be sure to get them answered via live text Q&A. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it to Stasia in Tennessee. Take it away, Stasia.
Thank you very much, Jess. Hi, everybody. My name is Stasia, and thank you so much for being with us here today. I'm going to start with a presentation that can show you how to help businesses get found on Google Search and Maps. It's a resource from Google called Google My Business, and it's perhaps the fastest and easiest way for your business to get found when someone is doing a search. Now, if you previously used Google Places for Business or Google Plus Pages to manage your business, you've probably already been automatically upgraded to Google My Business. And it's possible that you didn't even create it, but you're already listed. But today I'm going to show you the process of either creating or claiming your business listing so you can control how that information will appear across Google Search and Google Maps. Now, it's possible for anyone to use Google My Business, including products and brands and artists and organizations. Those types of pages, those types of groups, they will have a listing on Google Search, but not on Google Maps. So today's focus is going to be for local businesses with storefronts or service areas, meaning that you go someplace to meet with customers in your local area for Google My Business. So that's the focus of today's class. So let's start by showing you how a business could appear on Google Search. And you can see here in this screenshot, I've done a search for Dandelion Chocolate, which is a local business in San Francisco, California. And you can see on the right side of the page all this business information that appears. Some photos of the business. You can see the address, the phone number, the hours of operation. You can access reviews for this business. That is one of the ways that creating a Google My Business listing can help your business to appear on Google Search. So this is really important now because research has shown that 97% of consumers are using the web to find local goods and services, and only 37% of businesses have actually taken this step to claim a local business listing on a search engine. So that's what we're going to be doing today in today's session. Now, if we look at this next slide here, you can see how the same business, Dandelion Chocolate, can also appear on Google Maps. And this is going to help customers or potential customers find directions to their business. And again, you can see all of the information, the photos, the hours, the phone number, the reviews. When somebody does a search, Google is going to try to pinpoint the most relevant businesses for them. And it's going to use things like the relevancy of that business listing and the distance and the prominence. So, for example, if I was in San Francisco, California, which I was last week working with some partners, if I was, and I did a search for yummy places to get dessert, then Google, which is originally from Boston, is wicked smart, would say, aha, look, she's looking for some place like Dandelion Chocolate, and we can tell based on her proximity that she's in San Francisco. So this is a possible search result that Google could show on the results when I did a search for it. So those are the two places where your listing information can appear. But perhaps, I won't say most importantly, but very, very importantly, is that Google My Business works across all devices. So does anybody out there not have a phone with them? I'll bet not a single person in the entire audience doesn't have a phone. Maybe there's one. But the majority of people now have multiple devices. devices, a computer, a laptop, a tablet, a phone, maybe a second phone. And so if you're one of those typical people, you have the opportunity to see information across Google across a variety of different devices. One of the greatest things about Google My Business is now you don't have to worry about checking every single device to make sure that your listing looks good, is presenting correctly, accurately, because it works across all of these different devices. I could go into some of the statistics about how many people have smartphones and tablets. Suffice to say that month over month, more and more people have smartphones, and it's a huge number. In fact, more people in the millennials age are accessing the internet over their phones and their portable devices, their tablet devices, more than their computers at this point. So this is a very important part of your job in getting your business found on Google Search and Google Maps. Okay, so with that, let's talk about how you can get your business found on Google for free. Google My Business is free. There's no catch to this. And again, if you are already using Google Places for Business, it's already been upgraded automatically. But I'm going to show you the process for actually creating an account for your local business. And so we're going to start you at the website for the program that we're working for. It's at the program is called Let's Put Our Cities on the Map. We are using the website that we created when we started, which was for Get Your Business Online. So it's gybo.com/business. So getyourbusinessonline/business. And then you will see this Check Your Business page. It's going to link us into what's called the diagnostic tool. And so you will start by typing in the name of your business. Now, if you see the name of the business appear in the list, you can click on it to proceed to the next step. But if you type out the entire thing and you don't see it in the list, just click Find Out to go to the next step. Now you will see reports, and there are 3 potential outcomes for this report. So the first one is going to say, nice job, your business is on the map. And what that means is that you have a listing on Google Search and Maps that has already been claimed, already been verified. That's the terminology that we use. And that means that you, or perhaps somebody else, has actually gone through the proactive steps of proving to Google that the business is where they say it is through a verification process. It's typically done by a postcard. Now, if you look at the report, it will show you how your listing could potentially appear across Google Search and Maps. It'll show you what images are appearing, what hours of operation are going to be showing up, and it will also highlight anything that you could potentially improve or information that's missing with a yellow highlight. So take a look at that information and make sure everything looks good. The second potential outcome is that your business information is incomplete. And so again, you'll see that Google knows about your business. It has some of the information, but it means that someone hasn't actually taken that next proactive step and verified the listing. And so one of the things that you'll be able to do is to actually take the next step so that you can claim this business listing for your own. One of the big advantages to that is that now you can control your business information as it will appear across Google Search and Google Maps. So for example, if you're changing your hours of operation for the school year, you can go in to your Google My Business dashboard, that we call it, and you can go in and make those changes, and then the changes will go live. So that's the big advantage of actually taking that next step and claiming your business and verifying the information. Now, the third outcome, that third screenshot, says your business isn't on the map. And that's okay. It just means Google doesn't know about your business yet, and so you can walk through the simple steps that I'm going to be walking you through now to go ahead and get that started. All right, so let's take a look at the next step, the next slide. It says sign into your Google account. And the thing that I wanted to point out here is that in order to do this, you do need to be signed into Google, and that can be a Gmail address, that can be another email address that you've registered with Google. Now, it's possible that you have multiple Google accounts, addresses, and so what you want to check here is that you're signed into the account that you use to manage your business information. You may have a personal Gmail address and you may have a business email address. If you only have a personal one and you want to create a separate account, it's free and easy to do. The link at the bottom says create an account, and then you can go walk through the steps and use your new Google account to go through this process. But let's work on the assumption that you have a Google account for your business and you've signed into it. Now, here we are on the next step, step 2. And here's where we can select your business or add it. So take a look at this list in the map. If you see your business appear here in the list, that's great. You can click on it to go to the next step. You can see in this particular screenshot they couldn't find my example business, which is Stasia's Bakery. They did find a bakery in Poland, but that's not the one that we're talking about today. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually click on the link at the bottom that says add your business, because I don't see my business in this list of results. Okay, so the next step is going to be to enter my business details. And I want to point out a few important notes about this particular step. First of all, make sure that you get your information in correctly. I have taught hundreds of these classes now across the country and via Hangout on Air. Excuse me one second, I'm just going to take a quick sip of water. We'll blame it on Nashville allergies, but actually I caught a cold on my last trip to San Francisco, so if I sound a little bit froggy, please bear with me. So here you want to fill in your information, the name of your business, and don't misspell it, because for all of the classes that I've taught, someone always misspells the name of their business. And the street address where the business is physically located, city, state, and zip, and a phone number. Now, excuse me, one thing to know, a lot of businesses in a lot of parts of the country have a P.O. box, and that's where they get their mail. Well, in order to create this listing, Google is not looking for the post office box. Google is actually looking for the physical location of the business. So you are going to have to put in the address of where the storefront, where your business is physically located. If you don't get mail there, that's okay. Hang out. We'll get to that in a second. But we don't want the P.O. box. It actually won't work here. You need that physical location. My parents actually moved to Tennessee from Vermont, and they were in that same scenario where their house was located out on a physical street address, but they couldn't get mail there. But if they had a business that they ran out of their home, they would put in the physical street address here. Okay, the next thing I want to point out on this page is the category. Now, the category is a tough one for some folks because there are so many types of businesses out there, so many niche businesses, and the perfect category for your business may not appear in this list. The way this works is that you can't just create a category for yourself. You think of something like, my business is Stasia's Bakery, so I'm going to start typing in bakery, B-A-K, and then a list will appear, and I can choose from something that pops up in the list. So it's a little bit of trial and error until you find the category that you choose. And it's possible that you're not going to find one that's a great fit. There are generic ones like retail store or consultant or something like that. This is not the only way that people will identify the nature of your business. You have a description as well. So don't get too hung up on choosing or finding the perfect category here. Now, a question for folks, how many of you work from home? I actually am working out of my home office here in Nashville, Tennessee. And even though I have a listing, I really don't want people, strangers, coming to my home after finding my address on Google Maps. So how do we deal with that? So this is where I would consider myself a service area business. And I'm going to guess that there are probably quite a lot of you out there that are in the same scenario. So if this is your situation, at the bottom of this page, look for that little checkbox that says, I deliver goods and services to my customers at their location, and check that box. Then you will see this pop-up window open that says, my business delivers goods and services. And you will actually specify your service area. And that can be specific cities or zip codes. That can be a particular radius in miles or kilometers around your business. And if you're in the scenario where you have a storefront and a service area, for example, right down the street from me is A1 Appliance, and they have a storefront where I can go in and look at their appliances, and they also have techs that they send out in 50 miles around the store to go out and repair people's appliances. So that type of business might choose both. So you can play around and figure out which one makes the most sense for you. Okay, so that is how you're going to set your service area. And the next step is going to be to agree to the terms of service. Once you check that box, click Continue, and then you will proceed to the next step. Okay, so everyone who's in the class today, I'm going to give you a special bonus at the end of the class. But let's just say you were home doing this by yourself and you are working with someone. What you would do from here is you would say, okay, well, I need to verify my business, so I want to start this process, and I want to click the Mail Me My Code process to start the verification. Because you're in today's class, you don't need to do that today. I'm going to show you a special bonus. But what would happen is that you would get to this next screen where you would see a preview of this verification postcard, and you can put an optional name in, a contact name if you want, and then that postcard would arrive in the next week or two to the address of the business. And that's how Google is going to verify that this business is where they say it is, because you got the mail there. And so that postcard is going to contain a PIN verification code that you will use to then go in and prove that you actually got it. Now, the verification code is only good for 30 days. So when you do get the postcard, you can't sit on it for a long time. You really want to go and take that next step as quickly as possible. So that is how the majority of business owners will complete the verification process to prove that their business is where they say it is. So let's just say now that we are waiting for our postcard in the majority of folks, and we have, it'll be here in a week or two. Well, what do we do at this point? What's the next step? Well, you're going to be led directly into the Google My Business dashboard, and I want to show you a little bit about what's inside that dashboard. So this is what it looks like, and you can see that it's got a basic shell of my business information there. The name of my business, it's got the address and the phone number that I put in, but you can tell here, based on the screenshot, that the profile is only 45% complete. That's what the status is telling me on this dashboard. And so one of the sort of rules of thumb with getting or helping your business appear higher in Google search results is to give Google more information, more context about the nature of your business, what you're all about. And so if you take the time and the effort to go ahead and add more information to your business, the more likely it is to appear when someone nearby is doing a search, because Google will say, all right, we know that Stasia is looking for this particular type of business, and we know based on the information you put into your profile that you're a good fit. So that will increase the likelihood that your business will appear when someone actually does that search. So in order to go ahead and make the updates, you can click on the individual pieces on the dashboard, or you can access sort of a centralized editing screen by clicking on the red edit button that you see here in the corner to get to your information. Now, once you've done that, you will then get into a screen that allows you to go in and make changes to all of your business information. And it's going to be organized in different sections. And so you can go in and you can change your address. You can increase or decrease your service area. If the red pin marker is not in the correct position, you can actually go in and edit there and drag the marker into the correct spot. You can add a phone number, additional phone numbers. You can add your website URL, a fax number. You can add additional categories for your business. You can update your hours of information. You can add more photos, and you can go in and you can write an introduction to your business. An introduction, incidentally, is the great place to go in and really describe what your business is about, because again, you may not have found the perfect category that describes you, your products, and your services. So this is where you can write that nice introduction that helps people understand what your business is about. So once you've gone in and you've put in all of this information, you can click the blue Done Editing button at the bottom to go on to the next step. Anytime your business information changes, you can sign into your dashboard, you can go to that edit button, and you can access any of this information to make changes as your business changes. Okay, so let's take a look at another piece on the dashboard. So I am back on that main screen, and you can see a relatively new button that's labeled Manage Photos. And one of the questions that I was getting repeatedly at all the classes that I was teaching was about photos. People wanted the ability to designate specific photos to be their logo or to be the image that would show up as their profile image. They wanted to add inside shots and exterior shots and things like that. Well, the Manage Photos section allows you to do that now. So what you would do is click on Manage Photos. It would open up this screen that you see called Business Photos, where now they have them organized into different sections. And you can go into those sections and upload photos that you want to showcase with your business. It's just like the information, the more you put in, the more you're going to get out of this. These are regular web images, so you can upload them in JPEG, PNG, or GIF formats. Okay. Let's take a look at the next one. So we're still here on the main dashboard. I just went below the section that I've been showing you. And now you can see where from Google My Business you can access a variety of other tools from Google. The first one you see is Insights, and that shows you how people interact with your business information as it appears across Google. So for example, it's not like Google Analytics. Google Analytics shows you activity on your site. But this is going to show you how many people clicked on the directions when they found you on Google Maps. How many people clicked on you when they found you in the organic search results. And it'll show you change over time, how many times your business was viewed in the past 30 days based on creating this presence in Google My Business. Now, the second option that you see is the reviews. Now, keep in mind that this data that we're looking at in the screenshots, you will see this once verification is complete. So another good reason or another reason to go ahead and verify your business. The reviews will show you what people are writing about you on Google, and it gives you the option to respond to reviews left through Google as well. So you can think of it as publicized customer service. On the right, we see where you can post updates on Google+, so you can share text and photos and links and videos. And at the very bottom, if you would like to advertise your business, you can connect right into AdWords Express right from Google My Business. If you already have an AdWords Express account associated with the Gmail address that you use, you will see some basic statistics there for your account performance here right within Google My Business. So that's a little summary of the dashboard. If you were going to get back to Google My Business, you wouldn't go to gybo.com. You would start at google.com/mybusiness. So that's the place where you would sign in to go back to your account. If you prefer to use a mobile app to make updates, you can do that. And so whether you're using an Android device or an Apple device, you can go to either of the stores and then download the free Google My Business app, which will allow you to make those updates from your mobile devices. Okay, so that's the tour of creating Google My Business and taking a look. Let's close this off by showing you how to complete the verification process. So let's imagine again that we were waiting for a postcard. And so we went back to sign into our account at google.com/mybusiness, and you would sign in. And then here at the top of the dashboard, you would see a button labeled Enter Code. And so you would click on that to proceed to the next step. Now, if it had passed the 30-day period, you would actually have to request another code. And you see a link right next to it that says Request Another Code. And in that case, you have to wait for the new postcard to arrive and then basically redo this process. So again, another reason to verify as quickly as possible. But once you had your code, and you would click on that button, and here you would enter your unique PIN verification code that was inside the postcard, and then click Submit. And then the verification would be complete, and your information that you had in Google My Business could appear across Google Search and Google Maps. Now, because you are in today's class, I just want to show you one quick. If we've got any businesses out there that want to get verified, we do have an expedited verification form available through our partners and through this program. And basically what this does is this lets us skip that postcard step. So if you followed the steps that we went through today and you create your business listing, you can go to the form at gybo.com/verifymybusiness. And you fill in some basic information, the Gmail address that you use to create the account, the partner that you're working with. You can say, I'm at the Hangout today, and submit it. And basically, that's vouching to our team that this business is where they say it is. And then Tim, one of our fabulous team members, will be standing by to help verify any of the businesses manually. So that is our special bonus today, so you can skip that postcard step entirely. Okay, well, that wraps up me for getting your business found on Google Search and Google Maps. I'm going to be coming back after the next session, and we'll be available through the chat or in the community to answer any questions that you may have about this. But now, it's my distinct pleasure to turn this session over to my colleague Marvin Augustin, and he is going to be walking you through the process of creating a free website for your business. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you so much, Stasia. Pleasure having you. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marvin Augustin with Start Logic. Today I'm going to be helping you establish your free website through our Site Expresso tool. I'm coming to you from Denver, Colorado. So hello, neighbors, our partners in Thornton and in Colorado Springs. Thank you for joining. Actually, the last time I was in Colorado Springs, I did the Spartan race. And let me tell you, it was hard work. It was so hard that I don't think I'll be coming back to Colorado Springs specifically for that race, because I don't think I could do it again. It was just that hard for me. So, but Colorado Springs is very, very beautiful. Without further ado, we can get down to business. So basically, this is our agenda for today. We are going to be creating a free Start Logic account. And upon creating a free Start Logic account, we're going to customize and publish the website. And upon doing that, we're going to talk about how to register a domain name and how to choose the right domain name for the website. And then we're also going to show you how to access the account. All of these points are very, very important, equally important, but do make sure that you know how to log back in, because obviously that's the biggest piece for you to continue working on the website. So let's get started. So we're going to talk about creating the account, and before we actually get into how to get that set up, let me talk about kind of what you all get and what happens after the first free year. Upon creating the free account, you all get a free year thereafter. So the moment the account is created, the year begins, and then a year from there is obviously not free anymore. But what happens after the first free year is the hosting side, which is the Site Expresso tool to maintain the website, the hosting of the website once you publish it, as well as the help tools and that sort of thing. That's going to be $5.99 month over month over month. So you'll pay monthly for that. If anyone registered a domain name, that is paid on an annual basis. So if you registered a .com, that'll be basically $16 for the year, so $15.99. If you registered a .org or .net, those are a little bit less costly. Those are about $8 or $9 per year. So the hosting is basically $6 a month for the website, and then domains that are associated are either $16 if it's a .com, and obviously $8 or $9 if it's a .net or .org. There are absolutely no contracts whatsoever, so you can absolutely cancel at any given time before the year is up or even after. And obviously you have all the rights to the domain name, so after the first year you can obviously move the domain name wherever you want because it's yours because you registered it. As far as the pages and that sort of thing, you can obviously save your images and save your content and then re-upload that to the new host. And speaking of which, let's talk about those of you that already have a website. And so if you already have a website somewhere else, there's two different ways you can go about it. So essentially, if you already have a website currently and it's live and it's up and you have visitors going to it currently, I would suggest building the entire site out here first. Once it's done being built out, then you begin the domain association where you either transfer the domain over to us or you point the domain over to us. And I'll share a video in the community later on today that'll show you step by step on how to accomplish this. But just remember, if you are looking to associate a domain you already own to the Site Expresso StarLogic website, you would need to register the free one that we're providing you first. So first register the free one that we're giving you, so register the same domain name, just in a different extension, like a .net or .org, and then you can begin the instructions that are in the video that I'll share later today. So that's if you already have a presence, it's already up right now, and you want to make sure that your new presence is up and going before you make the switch. Now, if you don't have a presence right now, you just have a domain name, then just go directly to registering the new one that we're giving you, and then follow the instructions on transferring it over. So that's a little bit about kind of what you get for free, what happens after the first year, and how to associate a domain you already own, or even if you wish that you don't continue after the first year or during the year. Obviously, you're going to like it, and hopefully you continue from there. Now, to get going and to create the account, we're all going to need to go to gybo.com/business. And when you get to that page, all you want to do is you would just want to scroll all the way down to the very bottom. So scroll till you can't scroll anymore. And at the very bottom on the right-hand side, you'll see a link that says Build Your Free Website. So you click on that link, and then you should get this window. Now, keep in mind, when you're here on this window, I would suggest that everyone uses Google Chrome, and because that seems to work the best, and it is fitting to do so, right? And also, you want to disable pop-up blocker, right? So everyone needs to disable pop-up blocker on the machines because there may be some pop-ups when you get to this point, because once you check this box, which you'll need to do, which is agreeing to the terms of service, and clicking on the sign in with Google, there may be a pop-up that prompts you to sign in with your Google account. So, like I said, do make sure pop-up blocker is off so you can get that window. And once that window populates, you'll just type in your Google email address and your password, and you'll sign in, and you'll accept the terms of the connection, essentially, and then that'll take you directly onto this window. When you get to this window, this is a sign that says, hey, you did everything correct and you're on your way, because now the account has been created and you're all set to move forward. Now we're just asking you to set up a security question and security answer. So just choose a question and just plug in an answer that you will remember going forward, because you all have chat support if you get stuck or have questions hereafter by going to our starlogic.com website page, and I'll show you what that looks like later on. But like I said, you all have support for chat, and so whenever you come to chat support, you'll be prompted for this security answer. So just making sure you don't forget. Now, when you're done typing in that security answer, you're going to hit submit, and that'll take you to this page. Obviously, we're all on the computers at the same time. We're all accessing the same servers on the StarLogic side of things. So think of it like we're all leaving work to go home at 5 p.m. and so everybody's on the highway at the same time. So give it a little time for the scroll, the completion bar to scroll all the way to the right, and then once you see the Ready, Set, Build button, you just click on that. Now, once you click on that Ready, Set, Build button, you'll be taken to this questionnaire. Now, I really like SiteExpresso for a couple reasons. Reason number one, obviously, it's called Espresso for a reason, because you can get a website up in a matter of a week, if not a few days, right? You can get, obviously, you'll all be able to create one page today, and if you spend some more time later on this week, you can actually get all 3 pages up if you want. So that's one thing. The other thing is that it's pretty cool as far as anyone having trouble with writer's block. I have trouble with it myself, so I need a starting point so I can kind of build my content from there. So what SiteExpresso helps you do is it helps you build content by asking you a couple questions and actually builds that, and you can build upon it. And I'll show you that later on. The other cool thing that you get with the SiteExpresso tool is essentially having a mobile responsive website. So now, the moment you hit publish, you automatically have done 2 things. You have, 1, you have obviously a desktop site, and 2, you have a mobile site. So with this mobile site, if anyone goes to your device from a tablet or mobile device, the size and dimensions of your website will contour to that device in itself. So obviously, everyone's going mobile now. You're being judged by your ranking on the search engines if your website is mobile friendly. So this is kind of a cool thing to have. So congratulations, you all have mobile site the moment you hit publish. So let's get down to this questionnaire that we have in front of us. This is the questionnaire that actually helps build your content out and also helps promote your website locally and on the search engines as well. So here we're asking you for your business name, business phone number, business address, country, zip, and that sort of thing. Notice underneath the address and the phone number, there's a checkbox that says hide this. So if you work from home, obviously you want to hide your business address, so check that box. I don't think anyone should be hiding their phone number, so that's a checkbox that no one really should check. But if you really want to hide your phone number, go ahead and do so. So once you're done filling out that portion, you're going to scroll further down, and you're going to see this part. This is still part of the questionnaire. Now we're asking you for an industry that best fits you. So notice here, there may not be an industry that specifically describes or is unique to you, and that's okay for now, because you just want to choose the one that matches the closest, because when you actually begin to build the content out of your website, you actually be able to be more specific as far as kind of who you are and what you do. Underneath that is letting us know, do you provide a product, a service, and or both. So go ahead and select if you provide a product, a service, or both. And underneath that is the portion where we're actually helping you promote your site. So in this section, you just want to plug in the cities, the states, and the regions that you want to be found under. So you want to, this is more from a local perspective. So in your local area, if you provide services locally in your area, this is the time to kind of plug in those places. So I'm going to give an example for our folks out in Colorado, because obviously I'm here, and just to say it's great being here out in Colorado. But essentially, I would put in Thornton, Colorado Springs, Denver, I would put in Highlands Ranch, I would put in Littleton, because those are all areas that I want to be found under, right? If I'm close to Greeley, if I do service out there, I'll put in Greeley, and kind of go from there. So depending on where you are in the country, you want to put in those city, state, and regions separated by comma for each in this section. This form, by the way, is not set in stone, so you can always get back to it and make further edits. So if you don't have enough regions and cities that you can think of right now, plug in 2 that you know, and then come back and plug in the rest later on and just resave it. Again, like I said, what makes this so cool is, as far as the espresso part, is that that business name and that business phone number will plug it on all your pages automatically for you going forward. So you don't have to add your business name and business phone number for every single page that you add hereafter. Okay? So that's what makes it pretty cool. So when you're done filling out this form, you're going to go ahead and continue. And when you hit continue, you'll be in the nuts and bolts of this Espresso tool as far as the editing and customizing is concerned. So here you'll notice on the very top, you choose style, and upon choosing style, you'll get this dialog box that'll appear that'll allow you to choose a template. And each template has an assortment of different color patterns and different background colors and that sort of thing. So be warned here. Obviously, we all want to have the best looking website. We all want to look the prettiest and look the most professional, kind of like that first day of school or that first day of college where I'm all dressed up. And I remember that first day, and I wanted to make sure that all my colors were coordinating and that sort of thing. This is not the case here, so don't try to create this color pattern that's just going to be the end-all, be-all, and eye-catching, right? You want something that doesn't clash with your logo. So if I had, you know, let's just say, figuratively speaking, one of my favorite colors is blue, another one is red. So what if my logo color was a mixture between red and blue, right? What color background would I get? Would I get a red background? Would I get a blue background? Right? So you want to be very careful about this. If you're not sure, I would go with the safest route and go white. If I were to go for, I wouldn't go for a red background, right? Because that kind of is too close. Maybe if I go with a blue, maybe I go with like a really light blue so it doesn't clash with those colors. And keep in mind, I'm going to have text on my website, and my text is generally black, right? So how does black look on top of a light blue, right? You do want to consider that. Again, this is not set in stone, so you can always be able to change it. But if you're not sure what colors go best with that logo that you have built out already, be safe. Go with white, okay? So that's it for the kind of your template and kind of your color patterns for the website. Now we're going to go into, actually when you're done choosing that, of course you're going to hit save. And now we're going to go into your logo. So directly underneath where it says style, you'll click on that header portion, and that'll pop up. You'll double click in that header portion right underneath style and above in between that header portion, and you'll double click that and you'll get this dialog box here. And here's where you can actually upload that logo. Obviously you want the logo dimensions to be no more than 100 by 100, maybe 50 by 50, but definitely don't go beyond 100 by 100 pixels for that to make it fit right in. And here you're just saying, do you want to show your logo and your business name, or either or? Make that decision. Your business name is already there by default because you already gave it to us in the questionnaire, but if you want to make changes to it, you can now. And underneath that and towards the left is where you can upload your logo. So it says your computer. Click on your computer, and it'll go through your files and folders on your machine. And then from there, you can choose your logo and add it on. Once you're done doing that, you go ahead and click on OK. Now, keep in mind, if you don't have a logo currently, you just want to throw something in there, we actually have a huge, extensive image library that is totally free for everyone that is signing up. So essentially, you can go in there, pick an image for now or permanently, choose it, and you can add it to your website. Do make sure when you're looking at these images that they actually do have that rectangular shape and they're not more vertical, because you want it to kind of fit perfectly in when you're choosing that. But I would actually recommend to be more personable on your website and actually throw in a logo in there. If not, just use your business name. But if you must throw an image, that's how you can do it. When you're done, hit OK. Now we're going to talk about your hero image. So we call it a hero image simply because it's the first image that everyone will see when they get to your website. It's the attention-getting image. So this image really needs to speak towards your products and services, right? So if it's a product, put in your most popular product, right? If it's a service, put in maybe before and after picture, or an image of the service being done, or a happy customer after the service is completed, right? So think about that when you're actually adding this hero image. And notice this hero image is horizontal in its nature as well. So please jot this down. You want to make sure your hero image is within the following dimensions so that it actually fits right into that rectangular horizontal placeholder that you're looking at right now. So keep it within 1100 by 400 pixels, and if it's within that dimensions, it'll fit perfectly for you. And you can obviously resize it, or if you have a graphic designer, they can fit it into those two dimensions. So a little bit more time on the images here. So there's a couple more things you need to know, right? Number one, you all have about 25 megabytes of storage space within the free website for a year, right? And you're obviously going to be uploading images because there'll be a portion where you can actually upload an image gallery page. And you can throw an assortment of images, particularly if you're in the remodeling business, if you're in an art business and that sort of thing. You want to showcase your work, right? And so it's recommended to keep your images within the kilobytes. So I would make sure you optimize your images to not go beyond, I would say, maybe about 600 kilobytes. Once you're in the megabytes for your images, they kind of become a little bit too big. They're going to make your pages take a little bit longer to load, and they're going to take a bite out of your disk space. So optimize your images to be within that 600 kilobytes. 72 DPI is also another good measuring stick there as well. Another thing you need to know is that when you upload your images, they all need to be within one of the 3 image file extension types. And so those are, you want to jot this down as well, that is JPEG, that is JPG, and that is GIF. So again, GIF, JPG, and PNG is the third. So keep it within those 3 extensions and it'll upload just fine. And just to reiterate, you don't want to go beyond 600 kilobytes for images, as well as 70 DPI for images as well. The last thing about images before we move on. Now, believe it or not, your images are also optimized, or you can optimize your images, which means that if you properly name your images, it can only help you build your visibility on the search engines. So here's an example of some of the things that I've noticed and that I've witnessed businesses run through. So I take an image or a photo with my digital camera or my cell phone. When I go to upload this image to my computer, what is usually the name given to that image? It's probably a series of numbers and letters, right? It doesn't really describe that image. So what I would recommend is that before you upload it to the website, name that image. It doesn't have to have spaces in there. It could be all one word or all 2 words jumbled together. That's fine. The search engines can still read it. But let's say, for example, I don't know, I own a business where I'm a independent contractor, for example, or I have a flower shop, for another example. So if I'm a contractor and I do commercial work, I would probably say, hey, I did commercial roofing, this commercial job for roofing, right? Or the name of my business, roofing, for that job that I did, right? Somebody who's looking for roofing and looking for commercial roofing, if you maybe have those words within that image with your business name, maybe it can help you. If I'm in a flowering business, maybe I put in, Valentine's Day roses for the roses image that I uploaded to my website, right? I'm just naming that image, right? And someone may be looking for that image. So here's the kind of putting this all together. If anyone ever done search on the search engines for images or type in the name. So a quick example that I always give is related to my favorite sport, which is basketball, obviously. And my favorite player is Kobe Bryant, obviously, who is the best, obviously, without a doubt. So I ever did a search for Kobe Bryant online and search for images. If I click on any one of those images and I look at the file name for that image, it's gonna say Kobe Bryant as the file name. So that image is optimized for the search engine. So again, do yourself a huge favor, name your images before you upload them to the website. Hope that all made sense. Moving on. Now we're going to talk about actually uploading content and verbiage for your website. So content is key, right? You can have all the attention getters on the website if you want. You can have kind of like the best pricing, or you can have even better service than your competitors, right? But you're not going to be noticed without the adequate content, without the right content. So your homework and your most important thing that you're going to do on the website is adding content. So jot this down. We recommend that on your homepage that you have at least, but not limited to, 250 words. Obviously, you definitely want to go beyond that number, but have at least that number. And for your next 2 subsequent pages, at least 100 words. A couple reasons why it's important to have adequate content. Obviously, once you publish your website, the search engine is going to spy to your website, and they're going to add and look for keywords on your site and add it to their database as far as the search query is concerned. So if you only have maybe 1 or 2 sentences, how many keywords are within that 1 or 2 sentences that you can actually help yourself with? Not very many. So that's why content is important from the search engine's perspective. From a visitor perspective, a lot of prospects need intel or need information before they take the next step in doing business with you. So you definitely want to have who you are, what you do, what separates you from the competition, and what inspires you to do what you do, and maybe some common, frequently asked questions that you believe that some of your current customers have had that you would add to the website in that perspective. And so that's why we recommend having adequate content. And homework for you all would be, think about your top 2 to 3 keywords, right? After you think about those top 2 to 3 keywords, do a search for them, make sure they come up with similar services and or products similar to what you do, so it makes sense. And then from there, you want to generate content around that in sentence format. So do make sure that you provide those keywords in sentence format, and then you should be good to go. A couple of things that, one thing that you should know, and you can do as a test to kind of show you how important it is to have the keywords in there. I did a search for cookware sometime back, right? So if you do a search for cookware and just test it yourself to kind of see an example of what sentence format means and how important it is to have keywords, if you do a search for cookware, the first couple sites that appear, click on them in the organic results. Click on them and look at that home page, and then do a Control F and look for the word cookware on that particular page and count how many times you see cookware mentioned within that site. You'll see it at least anywhere from 3 to 5 times, if not more. And you can use other keywords as examples. I just wanted to stress how important it is to have those keywords in there and to give you an opportunity to see some examples of that, because that'll be what's going to really help you build your ranking on the search engines. Now, how do I create content using SiteEspresso? So over here, you'll notice that I can double-click to add content, and what will happen is this dialog box will appear. Now you're going to say, do you want to write your own text, or do you want us to write it for you? So choose Write Text for Me in this example, and then hit Continue. From here, you're going to say whether or not you refer to your customers as clients, customers, donors, students. So it's up to you. You choose. If it's none of these, there's obviously another radio button at the very end that says Write Your Own, so you can actually type in what you want to refer to your customers. And the last question you notice is going to ask you, give an example of what customers like about your business. Okay, and so if you're looking at me right now and you're saying, Marv, I don't know what they like about my business. Rephrase the question in your favor. What would you like them to like about your business? And plug that in within 1 to 2 sentences. So 2 sentences max. Plug that in here, because everyone is going to do this, but it's only going to be unique by this question. So do take this question seriously and provide that answer of what you would like them to like about your business. And when you're done, you're going to hit continue. Now you're going to actually see that content build out. You actually be able to click on the edit text button to actually add more content. So again, nothing is set in stone here. You can always come back on a regular basis to add content. Notice it says formal or casual text kind of writing style. So I used the example of that flower shop earlier today. So flower shop, sort of casual. You know, contractor, maybe a little bit formal. So depending on your business, depending on your customer base, choose the preferred writing style that kind of best fits that, right? So you can look professional. You know what I mean? Now, as I said earlier, you can actually click on edit text to edit your text ongoing. And so I do recommend that. I recommend that you all regularly, whether it be weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, regularly go into the website, regardless if you're 25% done and you're billing for 100%, or if you're 100% done, it doesn't matter. Regularly go into your website and make updates. Reason for that is that search engines do not give high ranking to sites that seem static, which means it's been some time since they've been updated. If you look at the website footer for some websites and you look at, you know, hasn't been updated since 2010, right? That's a long time ago. How do we know if the information is even still correct and current, right? We don't know, right? So make sure that you go in regularly to make edits. Another really good way to make your site look dynamic is adding a blog to it. We do have the ability for you to associate a blog that you already own somewhere else, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. So again, continue adding content and do it regularly so your site looks dynamic. When you're done, you're going to hit use this text, as you can see there over on the right, and then that'll automatically upload that content for you. This view is essentially all of the different elements that you can add on going forward. So if it's gray right now, it means it's not active. So therefore, when you hit publish, it won't show. Even after you've activated, again, it's not set in stone. You can always deactivate it and it'll disappear. But there's one particular element that everyone who's watching today should add, which is the one over to your right there, which is the call to action. Give your visitors the step to take if they want to do business with you. Tell them what to do. So that's what the call to action does. And we're going to put it on towards the top of your website so they can see it visibly. So you click on that element and you decide whether or not you want to get people to get a hold of you by a phone number, by visiting you by a certain address, or by completing a form that you will then follow up within 24 to 48 hours. So you can choose any one of those methods as far as the call to action is concerned. So do absolutely activate that. Another really cool one is the coupon. This purpose of the coupon is actually to help visitors come to your website because they want to come to that website to get that coupon, and they want to come to that website to see if there's another coupon available going forward. So give a certain percentage off or get a certain dollar amount off. It doesn't have to be huge, right? It's just something that they can grab and print out from the website, and you actually see where some of your business is coming from. One more that I'll talk about is double-click to add services. So it actually changed if you actually chose product in the very beginning in your questionnaire instead of saying services, let's say products. But for example, showcase your top 3 services. Showcase your top 3 products, right? When that prospect comes there, there's that common thing that you offer that everybody wants that you want to make sure that they see so they can be reassured that they're at the right place so they don't leave right away. So this is another great thing to add if you can to the website. Moving on is how to add additional pages. Over on the far left, you click on pages and you'll get this dialog box that'll appear. And notice here I can add an About Us page, I can add a service page. I talked about a photo gallery page earlier today. This is where you go do that. So depending on what you're trying to convey to your visitors, right? If you need to show a lot of photos, you definitely got to use one of those pages as that photo gallery page. If not, then maybe just that About page and that home page works, right? If you have a type of business where people come to you to leave comments and they always want to get more information on updates, so say, for example, I own a beauty salon or I'm a hairstylist, right? I'm always going to want people coming back to comment on a certain style, have questions on how to properly take care of their hair and so on and so forth. And you can do that with the blog. And so, like I said, if you have a blog somewhere else, you would choose blog, which is the very last option there, and you would grab the RSS feed URL from your current blog and you would plug it in here, and your blog would automatically showcase on your site that'll be pulled from the blog that you own elsewhere. So you can take advantage of that there. Once you're done applying pages, you click on Add Page, and it'll automatically be added for you. And then from there, like I said, the business name will automatically be there for you, the phone number to be there. Again, we're taking a lot of the legwork out of the equation for you so you can quickly build your website up. Now, let's talk about publishing. So I want to take a moment to talk about publishing real quick because I sometimes get some concerns, right? Because nobody wants to kind of show unfinished work, right? Who wants to have a prospect come to your website to a site that's unfinished, right? You don't want to get that first impression, which is a negative impression. So I want you all to know that once you publish your website, the search engines are going to spot your website after some time, right? And they're going to grab keywords from your website and they're going to add it to their database. This is going to take some time. And then from that time taken, you'll be added to the search results. But guess where you're going to be listed in the search results? You're going to be on the last couple pages because you got to start somewhere and kind of build yourself up in the rankings to be on the first couple pages. Obviously, that's where we all want to be. But having said that, if you haven't given anyone the direct website URL to your site, if no one has that, then that also means that no one's going to see your site anytime soon. That being the case, because tell me now, or who has gone to the last couple pages of the search results in the past 30 days to 60 days? No one has, right? Who has the time to go on page 88, right? No one does, right? And so that being said, excuse me, it is okay to only be 25% done with your site. It is okay to only be 50% done with your site and publish. Because if you haven't given anyone the direct address, no one is going to see it anytime soon, okay? So do yourself a favor and publish, and then go in on a regular basis, like I said earlier, and publish again. Remember, that dynamic website, okay? So this is how it works when you all hit publish. So on the very top right is the publish button. Click on that. That'll give you this dialog box. Notice there are two tabs. So like I said earlier, you all have a mobile responsive site and you all have a desktop site. So you can actually see how your site is going to look by either tab. So click on the desktop tab, click on the mobile tab, and you'll see how it looks for either or. And obviously, you can make changes thereafter if you want to change something different, if you want to do something different. Now, another thing that we want to talk about today, which you want to jot down and make notes for, is another optimization recommendation for you all. Notice in this dialog box, in this example, there are little pencils on the very far right, or little pins on the very far right of each page name. You want to click on every single pencil for each page on your website. So if you have 3 pages, you're going to do this 3 times. And upon clicking that little pencil, you'll get another dialog box that will say, go ahead and plug in the page name and go ahead and plug in the page description. You want to do a page name and a page description for all of your pages. And here are some do's and don'ts for page name and descriptions. Do add your page name for your home page as your business name. Do not leave your home page name as home. Doesn't make you unique and doesn't make you stand out. So at the very least, your home page name should be your business name, making yourself unique. And again, think about that same concept for your next couple pages and making unique. Obviously, you want to incorporate some keywords if you can, but if not, like for example, the about page, it can be about and the name of the business. The service page, if it's an assortment of services, then you just call it a service page. But if you only have one service, maybe you say the type of service and the type of service it is, and that sort of thing. So keep an open mind when you're actually creating these page names. Now, the page description specifically, this is a short description, max 3 sentences. Obviously, you want to incorporate some keywords if you can. That describes that particular page. So it's kind of a summary, if you will. So a short summary of 3 sentences, of course, incorporating keywords that kind of summarizes that particular page's content. So don't talk about things that you haven't talked about on that particular page. Don't plug in keywords that you haven't plugged in on that particular page as well. So keep that in mind. Why is it important to have a proper page name, a proper page description? Obviously for the search engines to properly rank you, but also for your visitors. If you've ever done a Google search, which all of you who are watching have, you'll notice that in the search results, there's a blue link, which is the page name that people click on, and underneath that blue link is the page description. And so whenever I'm on the search engines and I'm looking for something, or I'm looking for a product, or I'm looking for information, I always read the page description. I know it takes me a moment to click on the page name and go back if it's not the right place, but I read it anyways. And I want to make sure that the description that I'm reading is the information that I'm looking for. If it's not, I'll look at the next page description, and so on and so forth. So this is your opportunity to entice your visitors to click on your link. So do yourself that favor. Now, hopefully that made sense. We're going to go ahead and move over to publishing. So underneath, at the very bottom, underneath those pencils is the blue button that says Publish. You click on that, and that will give you this dialog box that will just show you, hey, congratulations, the page has been published, and do you want to claim your domain name? And you can click on Yes, I want to claim my domain name. When you click on the Yes, I want to claim my domain name, you'll get this window. This is where you go to register your domain name. Now, listen, if you don't know what you want as far as your domain name is concerned, you don't have to force yourself to register one now. It's fine not to register one now if you don't know what you want just yet. You can always log back in and republish the site and then choose your domain name. Obviously, you need to publish before you can register your domain name. In this example here, it says Stasia's Bakery. Now, you all just saw Stasia today, and I can tell you right now, I've never gotten one single baking good from Stasia till today, and I've been knowing her for years up to this point. So I'm not sure if she's a baker, but that's just me. But in this example, stasiasbakery.com, if I were looking for a bakery, I would use bakery in my search query. So in this example, what we're trying to convey here is try to incorporate a keyword associated with your products and/or your services within the domain name. Now, you want to keep this domain name no more than 3 words. So anything long than 3 words, excuse me. I, just like Stasia, have a cold, so maybe it's just going around in the interwebs. I don't know, but I do apologize for that. But like I was saying, do make sure that this domain name is no longer than 3 words, because anything longer than that is too long to remember. And like I said, keep it. Try to incorporate a keyword in there. And then when you're done, click on Claim. And then when you're done clicking on Claim, you'll notice on the very bottom, towards the bottom, are the results. So if your domain name is available, it'll be the first one in the list. If it's not available, you'll see some different extensions and alternate names that you can choose from. If those fit better, if your name's not available, choose them. If not, time to think about some synonyms for your keywords that may be available. But if it is available, this is what it'll look like. Once you click on it, you'll get this window. This window is basically saying that we need your credit card information to continue, and we prompt you for that information for 2 reasons. First reason is that we want to make sure we protect your domain against any fraudulent activities. So essentially, if someone were to come to StartLogic chat and say, I want to move this domain name, I want to change it, you'd have to prove that they own it, and the best way to do that is proving the person that's going to be paying for it. Second reason is the domain names are renewed on an annual basis at the very least. So we know you businesses wear many hats. So instead of keeping track of this domain name that's going to renew at some point that you may forget and not renew it yourself manually, we're going to renew it automatically for you. Because if it's not renewed on this exact renewal date, 80 days from there, it'll be released back to the public. So we want to make sure to help avoid that for you, to keep it live and to keep the website up. So that's why we prompt you for that information. So you go ahead and plug that in. One thing to note, which is very important for your domain name, is there's a portion here where we're asking you for your email address. So do note that this email address is the email address that we'll be emailing you when you're done with this portion to verify that you're the owner of that domain name. This email is going to come to you within, I would say, 12 to 24 hours from the date of registration. You need to check your inbox, your bulk mail, your spam folders. It's going to come from StarLogic. It's going to say, hey, you registered this domain name recently. We want to verify that you're the owner and that you actually registered it. So go ahead and follow these prompts. If you do not receive this email, or you don't respond to this email, rather, within 15 days of it being sent to you, then the domain will not fully register and it won't be live. If you so happen to forget and you missed the email or you didn't respond to it in 15 days, come over the chat. We'll just resend it to you. But just keep that in mind and be on the lookout for that email after registration. So upon filling that portion out, you'll be given this section here. Now you're just given the options to add email. Email is actually $1 extra, so we're saving 99 cents there. And also add on domain privacy. So email is essentially email with your domain name. So if my domain name is Stages Bakery, I can have services at Stages Bakery for my email. As far as domain privacy is concerned, what this does is it protects your personal information from the public database. So everyone knows what it means to have the information shown publicly. So now you're subject to spam and telemarketing and letters in the mail and phone calls if your information is public. So if you wanted to avoid that, the choice is yours to hide your personal information from the public database. If you leave it checked, it's basically $10 for the year. If you uncheck it, then obviously there's no add-on there. When you're done deciding on those things, you're going to hit Buy Now, and that registers your domain name. And you're good to go, and you can go back to editing the website by clicking on Take Me Back to Site Expresso, as you can see here. Once you go back to Site Expresso, we're going to talk about returning to your account. So whenever you're in the Site Expresso tool, you can go back to the control panel, and I'll show you what it looks like in just a moment. But look at that text underneath where it says Publish. If you look at that, you'll see it says Business Information. That is the questionnaire that we filled out in the very beginning. So if you ever want to go back to that and make changes, that's where you would go to make changes to your address, your phone number, areas that you service locally, and that sort of thing that we talked about earlier today. So that's how you get back to the business information. Now we're going to go to the control panel. So this is what you'll see every single time you log back into your StarLogic account. You'll always see the Edit Your Site with Site Expresso, which is highlighted there. You'll see Domain Central. So you go to Domain Central after you register the free domain with us if you want to associate another domain name. And there's also an extra tool if you want to sell online. So we have an add-on that you can add, an app called Equid, and you can actually use that if you wish to sell online as well. You know, if your needs for the website ever exceeds the free, like selling online, you can add Equid, or if it exceeds other parameters, just come to chat and just talk to us about it, and we'll see if we have something else that is more robust for your needs if your needs exceeds what you're getting here today. But that's what the control panel looks like, and that's how you go back to edit your site with Site Expresso. Now, let's talk about how to log back in. So today we went to gybo.com/business to create the account. So whomever goes there and the account is created, you no longer need to go there ever again. The only time you need to go there if you're actually creating a new account, which if you're watching today, those of you creating the accounts don't need to go back to gybo.com anymore to log back in. you would now go to starlogic.com and to log back in. And once you get there, on the very top right, there's a login link. So you click on login. And then from here, you'll notice that there's a portion type in username and password. You can actually skip that part because we've connected your accounts to your Google account that you used to create the account. So where it says sign in with Google, you can actually click on that, and that'll log you in using your Google account. So if you're already logged in, it'll actually connect. If you're not logged into your Google account, you'll be prompted to type it in, username and password, and that'll log you into the control panel. How to get help after today. We have a couple of help options for you. Obviously, earlier today I talked about chat, so you can actually click on support, and on the very left there it says contact us, and you choose chat. We have the customer support knowledge base. So notice there's a text box in there that you can actually type in your question, and they can actually give you all the responses that closely matches that. And then obviously underneath that you can create a ticket, and we'll respond to that ticket within 24 hours, which you can see underneath that. Now, if you're not logged into your account, you can still chat with us. So if you look at this screen, on the top right, it says chat with us. So you can actually chat with us without being logged in. So you can get to us whether you're logged in or not, just so you know. So we talked about support, and that's pretty much it. So I thank you all very much for joining us today. We actually, Stasia, myself, and Jesse are actually going to move over to the community now to answer any additional questions that you all may have. So please, if you have any additional questions, please go to the community page for this event, and I will be there, and the rest of us will be there to answer any follow-up questions that you all may have. So that's pretty much it for today. So thank you all very much, and it's a pleasure having you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.